James was a professional liar. He made a living by spinning tall tales and weaving intricate webs of deception. He was a master of disguise, a gifted actor, and a shrewd manipulator. He had spent years perfecting his craft, and he was one of the most successful con artists in the business. But James's life was not as glamorous as it seemed. He was constantly on the run, always looking over his shoulder, and he had no real friends or family. He was a lonely man, trapped in a cycle of deception and betrayal. It all started when James was a child. He had grown up in a poor and broken home, and he had learned early on that the only way to survive was to be clever and resourceful. He had learned to lie and cheat his way through life, and he had quickly realized that he had a real talent for it. As he got older, James began to see the world as a vast playground, filled with opportunities for deception and fraud. He began to hone his skills, and he quickly became one of the most sought-after con artists in the business. He had a knack for finding people's weaknesses and exploiting them. He could charm his way out of any situation, and he always had a plan B. He was a master of disguise, and he could become anyone he wanted to be. James's life was a never-ending cycle of cons and schemes. He would take on a new identity, fleece some unsuspecting mark, and then disappear into the night. He was always one step ahead of the law, and he had no real attachments or connections. He was a loner, and he liked it that way. But as the years went by, James began to feel the weight of his lies. He couldn't shake the feeling that his life had no meaning or purpose. He realized that he was just going through the motions, and he didn't really know who he was anymore. He decided that it was time for a change. He wanted to leave the con game behind and start living a real life. He wanted to find a place where he belonged, and he wanted to make amends for all the people he had hurt. He started by tracking down all the people he had conned and apologizing to them. He returned the money he had taken and helped them out in any way he could. He also made a confession to the police and turned himself in. He spent some time in prison, but he was eventually released. After his release, James decided to put his talents to good use. He became a private investigator, using his skills to help people and catch criminals. He found that he enjoyed the work and that it gave him a sense of purpose. He had finally found a place where he belonged. James's story is a cautionary tale about the dangers of living a life of deception. It's a reminder that the truth is always the best policy, and that living a life of lies will only lead to emptiness and isolation. It shows that no matter how lost one may feel, it's never too late to change and make amends for past mistakes.